Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yes, there we are. It's good to be back with some F1 2020 racing. As you can see, we're already quite some minutes into this qualifying session here in URL in the APAC division, round number 9 at the Circuit de Jules Villeneuve in Montreal in Canada, as Weirdo is currently sitting on top of the timesheets. And I'm joined once again by my co-commentator.
Hello, good afternoon. Hopefully you're all doing well. Last week I was alone. I missed Unicomania for sure. But definitely this is going to be another fascinating race. It's one of my favorites actually. And I am really excited to see what they will do. Because I know that the competition now is getting much more competitive. And also we're seeing that there's some drivers which are missing from this lobby again for this week. Including the champion and also the driver who won last race was Formula.
Yeah, about those two drivers, I think Cramp won't be competing anymore for the rest of this season because he decided to leave us, and the same happened with last week's race winner, as he left our Discord server. So I don't know what was the reason for that, but yeah, they're both gone to quick drivers. So yeah, we'll be interested to see who can take the top spot today. At the moment it's Weirdo with a 1:8.239, followed by Joseph and Plebs.
For now I'm seeing also Bear Point his lap. Not a very fast lap by him. He also lost his balance of the car and lost a bit of traction as well. He's right now going down this hairpin. A hairpin with the chance of overtake for some cars as well. This is one of the longest straights that will take us through the wall of champions. Hopefully we don't see any crash of champions in this corner, because as you see it's so close between the car and the wall. And Breakpoint, he will manage to do the 8th fastest lap of this qualifying session, as 10 minutes remains unknown for what's going to happen now. Joseph Light, definitely he's going to try to take the lead today.
Yeah, with Cramp out of the running, of course, he's still theoretically in the lead of the championship, but as he won't compete, he won't score any more points. So it's Joseph practically in the lead of the championship right now, but the man on provisional pole right now is only 1 point behind him. So Weirdo and Joseph looks like they'll be the duo that will be fighting over these last 4 races to decide who will be crowned the APAC champion here in season 2, and who will be the next in line after GeForce Swaggy was crowned champion last season, as Weirdo is now starting his 2nd lap of the day. Let's go on board with the Haas driver, who's currently going through turn 2. Keeps it out of the wall at the first chicane and backs off. Was not happy with that first sector, and he'll go again.
It seems that Hammer is struggling a bit also not to exceed those track limits, because we need to mention also that there are some track limits, especially the first corner, where if you don't take it well, you will end up losing your lap in qualifying, and you will manage to get some penalties as well. These drivers, unfortunately, they are suffering from a lot of track limits, and they're suffering from a lot of penalties. But as we see now, that Hammer is going to start this lap again. A little bit of tow as well from BP. Oh, he entered the pit, so I don't think he's gonna do another lap.
Joseph is coming to the end of his 2nd run, opens the DRS and runs up to the line. Currently P2. and that stays P2 as he does not manage to improve on his time.
Yeah, in fact, I'm seeing that Joseph is struggling a bit in sector 2 as he is really taking a caution, being cautious not to take the wall over there, but let's say if you don't risk it a bit in this track, you will not make it the fastest, because this is one of the tracks that you need to risk a little bit. Not a lot of chance of overtakes, only the last corner, only the last straight where you can overtake a bit, but the other corners, not a lot of overtakes. Although you have still 3 DRS zones, but they are not so efficient.
No, the DRS in the middle sector really too short to attempt an overtake unless you're on much fresher tires or you have a much pace advantage. But yeah, right now that doesn't seem like anyone's really improving on their times. But as you said, the margin between risk and reward here is very small. But if you do risk it, if you do succeed, then the reward will be huge here around the streets of Canada. Walls always very close, and as you said before, track limits really a challenge for the drivers, as at almost every corner you have to be pinpoint precise to make sure you don't invalidate your lap, as we see Plevs now running through the middle sector.
Also, Weirdo is improving his time. He found a slower car ahead of him, but he managed. Oh, he lost his car. He lost his car because there was another guy. I think it was Ned Hammer that he ended up not giving up the position, and he, instead of colliding with him, he ended up in the wall. So definitely that's going to be something for the stewards to point out, maybe, that these guys need to really give up the position if you are not doing a hot lap.
Yeah, as Plevs goes into P2, another man that was improving and kept it in a straight line, pointing in the right direction throughout the entire lap, is just marginally ahead of Joseph now, 4 1/1000ths of a second, splitting P2 and P3, as almost every other driver is in their garage right now preparing for the final run. As Ned Hammer once again invalidates his lap going through sector 1. So yeah, Weirdo of course has got the momentum of the last couple of races, of course. One in Britain and at Spa, and finished just behind us Formula in P2 last time out in Monza. So 3 races in the top 2 for Weirdo, and yeah, he is the man on a mission right now, and he's really closing up the gap to the championship leader. So just 1 point behind. Sorry?
He's giving some time to practice. Definitely.
Yeah.
If you practice a bit more than the others, you will end up being satisfied with the results. Although that was not so easy for him because he was improving his time. He was around 2/10 ahead of his time and improving, and he ended up in the wall because of another guy. So definitely right now they need to really get a little bit their act together and try to give as much space as possible to the other drivers. I'm seeing Joseph Eli that he exceeded his track limit again, but I think now he will manage to do another lap on those few softs that they have. But also I would like to see something else from them. He's been struggling a bit even in Monza. Can he put that McLaren in top 5 today? We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, so he has been struggling a bit in the second part of the season, not scoring as consistent as he was doing in the first couple of races, and this maybe more junior teammate Diano is really outperforming him. Diano, of course, finished 3rd twice this season at France and at Belgium, so he is having a stellar season, sitting in P5 in the Drivers' Championship. As we have Bear 2.0 now on a vetted lap, driving around on the back straight right now. Who is on the mediums?
Deano, he's in medium tires. Because right now I'm seeing that the best lap by Carson, which is in 6th place, is on mediums. And even as I'm seeing right now, Miles with Mercedes. Is he a new driver?
He is a reserve today.
Oh, he's a reserve driver, okay. I'm seeing him that he's on the medium tires as well with 3 laps now in the pit. So he's trying to come out. Oh! Almost in the wall over there for Deano. Let's see what he can do. And Deano pushes to the 6th position with those medium tires as BP also does that, and he's around 19502. Not a lot of time change on the soft tires, but definitely starting on those medium tires will be a good strategy if there's no safety cars at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what tire strategies the drivers will choose. Of course, possibilities here to alter between a 1-stop and a 2-stop. Personally, I'd say the 2-stop will be faster with maybe 2 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums. But of course, a medium to hard strategy is also possible. But that just will mean that you'll be slower towards the end of the race on old hard tires, and you'll have to do a lot of defending. But yeah, just under 2 minutes to go as our provisional pole sitter Weirdo is starting his final run. So let's go on board with the Hess driver into turn 1, down to the 3rd gear, then back down to 2nd for turn 2. Short shifting up to 4th to minimize wheel spin. Into the first chicane of the track, keeping it within track limits, brushing the wall on the exit as he approaches the end of the first sector and is about the 10th down, locking up, going into sector 2, and there's a lot of traffic in the way, and I think there was some damage on one of the cars who got out of the way, and that's Rady, who's damaged his front wing trying to move out of the way, and there's all cars are at this part of the track. And once again, Weirdo has been hampered by other cars on this qualifying run.
Definitely not something that we need to see. Again, Weirdo is struggling because of a lot of traffic. Today we have only 14 drivers, so I don't know how come we have a lot of traffic in this track, because it's not a short track, not the shortest track. Yeah. It's around the same time as Monaco, if I'm not mistaken. But it's around 1 minute. 8 seconds, so yeah, let's see what Weirdo can do. He's gonna start his lap now.
He's gonna go again.
Just a bit slow.
So let's give this another try as we follow him on board once again. Bit more tidy through that section of the track, and he is now improving on his time on 18.9 as the checkered flag has fallen for a lot of drivers actually, so we won't see many shifts in the grid, but maybe we'll see one at the front as Joseph didn't make the flag. Joseph won't get another run in as Weirdo is almost 3 tenths up, locked up into the hairpin, but still improving. Plebs right behind him. Don't know if Plebs is improving on his time, but we'll keep an eye on those two as Weirdo approaches the final chicane. Ooh, touches the wall of champions. Oh, but that's an amazing lap. And Plebs invalidated his lap time, but it would not have been enough anyway. Weirdo with a 1:7.7, 6 tenths clear of the rest of the field. Absolutely stunning lap from him to put him on pole. And I think that's it. All drivers have completed their laps. So here's your pole sitter. It's L30 Weirdo continuing his momentum and putting it on P1.
Let's see if Haas can deliver again this time. Last week they delivered for sure, BP and Weirdo both in top 5, but we need to see what's going to happen now, as it's a very interesting situation in Nucomania that we're seeing the 7th, 8th, 9th on the grid that they are with medium tires, so they might be in a little bit of advantage here. We will see what they will deliver. They can also do one-stop strategy, but definitely that one-stop strategy would be a little bit slower than the two-stop that they have planned for those who are starting from the soft, because the hard tires are a little bit slower in those corners.
Yeah, and especially since the pit lane here is quite short and you win some time with the exit, going straight on, missing the first two corners. So you lose relatively little time making an extra stop. So I personally say I prefer the two-stop over the one-stop, but I've seen drivers make the one-stop work, so will be interesting to see what these drivers will go for. Of course, safety cars, virtual safety cars will have a massive impact on their strategy as well, and the timing of those. So yeah, we'll just see as we are preparing to load onto the grid. It's looking like it's sunny at the moment. Don't know if there's any rain on the way.
I don't think there's a rain planned for this race, but let's see now what will happen, because this is going to be a very good situation between all the drivers. They're all planning strategy. Definitely some drivers will leave it to the last minute, but as you see, a lot of wear with those soft tires, so I expect that these drivers who start not the new soft tires will be hitting around lap 8-9, but those of medium tires, they can do it until lap 17 if they're going on one stop, lap 14 if they're going on a two stop.
Yeah, as the cars roll away now for the formation lap. So of course top 10 all on the tires they qualified on, so the top 6 all on softs. Then we have BP, Diano and Taufik on the mediums, with Bear in P10 on the softs as well. With RL9, Miles and Rady also opting for the softs, and Toddy also copying his teammate and starting on the mediums. So no driver starting on the hard tires, which is I think a logical choice, as those hards will have the least amount of grip at the start, and you'll need to get a good launch off the line to make sure you're in a good position for the rest of the race. Here AWS even suggests a 3-stop, which I think is a bit too much, but anyway. Yeah, so those drivers on the softs, they'll most likely do a 2-stop as you said, pitting around lap 8 and then going on to the mediums, and then deciding if they go for another set of softs or another set of mediums, depending on their position on the track. So top 3, Weirdo, Plebs, Joseph, P2, 3 and 4 in the championship right now. So I think we're in for a very intense battle between these three for the win, with Nethammer and Carson right behind to pick up any scraps as we approach the end of the formation lap.
Also for the Renault driver, Novik has have a very good start this season. He's trying to get also some points, as I don't think he got points in the championship so far.
Yeah, he missed quite a bit of races in the last couple of weeks. He finished P4 in Austria, his best result of the season so far. Let's see if he can improve on that from 9th on the grid, as Toddy and Rady line up at the back of the grid and will be ready for 35 laps around Canada. Weirdo on pole, Plebs right beside him, Joseph and Nethammer 2 racing points behind them on row 2. As we go to 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. Looks like a good start from Weirdo. An even better one from Joseph, who's already alongside Plebs, going to turn 1. And a Racing Point driver up to P2, but he goes deep into turn 2 and Plebs is back down his inside. Joseph keeps it right on the outside. And we have Ashley falling down the order, colliding with Taufik it seems, as those two are slow and at the back of the grid, but Weirdo still leads. Joseph now in P2, ahead of Plebs. And Nethammer and Carson both spin at the same corner.
Actually, it was a dive by Carson, and he ended up in the back of Nethammer. and he ended up spinning and to the last position.
A lot of incidents here on the opening lap.
Between Diano and BP, as they're so close together.
As Miles nearly runs into the back of RL9.
Yeah, and Lou right now, RL9 Lou, is trying to overtake Diano with more of.
And there's a yellow flag for Taufik. Taufik once again spun it at the hairpin. But at the front it's Weirdo, still in P1.
Speeding in the pit lane, actually gets a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Already he got a 5-second penalty.
Not the best of starts. Ashley could have had to this race down to second last and having to make a pit stop.
But he can stay with those tires until the end, so we'll see what's happening.
Keep an eye on him towards the end of this race, as there's another yellow flag in sector 2. That's for Bear, who spun at the exact same corner that Hammer and Carson did on the previous lap. And he is in the wall as well, lost his front wing. Another victim. And we're only on lap 2.
Little bit of a lock up for Joseph, but he's getting so close to his range to use against Weirdo, but DRS will be available after this lap. So let's hope to see a very nice race between these two. Hope the best strategy wins as well.
Yeah, as we said before, not much separating them in the championship, just 1 point. Joseph in front of Weirdo, and on track it's the other way around at the moment, with Joseph behind Weirdo. So these two really battling it out, with Plebs just trying to hang on, as we have some battles further down the field. RL9 making a move on Miles for P7, with Toddy just staying behind, trying to take any opportunity that comes his way. Of course, he is also on the mediums.
Even BP, he's on the medium tires, and he's trying to overtake Nethammer now. Nethammer is on soft tires, so let's see what will happen. For BP is trying to push to the limit for Nethammer to do a mistake. It's going to be a tough challenge for BP to overtake him, because the soft tires are much faster than those medium, and he needs to use a lot of DRS, but he has the DRS advantage, and as we see right now, BP is activating the DRS, and he tries to go on the right, but he doesn't manage to overtake it as...
Oh, Nethammer goes a bit wide.
It was a bit of a touch for BP as well.
As he now dives it down the inside, and BP up to P4, past the racing point of Nethammer. So nice parallel here with both.
He's using a lot of DRS, huh?
Yeah, he's really
down.
trying to push away now from Nethammer, who's got Diano for company right now. But yeah, both has drivers battling with a Racing Point driver in this race, with Weirdo and Joseph at the front, and BP and Nethammer a little bit further back, as Diano is alongside and past Nethammer as well. Compromises his run through this chicane though, but stays ahead at the moment.
Joseph is going to try to overtake also with DRS now Weirdo, but also Weirdo is using a lot of DRS. Plebs, we have also DRS on Joseph alive, but he doesn't manage to overtake him, as Weirdo is using a lot of DRS as well, but definitely Weirdo, he got the perfect setup for that straight, because he's increasing a lot of time, and he's decreasing time from the supply in the corners.
Yeah, both Weirdo and Joseph on approximately the same amount of ERS, both at around 75% at the moment. As Joseph just sitting behind Weirdo for now, biding his time, trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a pass.
There's a little bit of slipstream for Joseph alive for sure, but also dirty air is really effective in this track. The longer you go, the longer it will affect you. And let's see who will hit first, because this is going to be another And we'll see who will be first, as Plebs is also at the tail of Joseph Lai, and Joseph Lai is on the tail of Weirdo. So they both have DRS. The only driver who doesn't have DRS is Weirdo. As we see right now, oh, there's a sector 1 incident.
It's Bear once again in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Once again lost his front wing. So dreadful start of the race for him so far. Down to last place and without a right hand side end plate once again. So he'll be back into the pits for repairs for the second time in this race.
Very slow race, or very, let's say, quiet race for Ashley, Tofik and Fairpoint. We're seeing right now they're a little bit gap from the other cars, but it's already 5 laps on those soft tires for the top 3. Who do you think will pit first? I think personally, seeing Joseph Eli always taking the risk, I think Weirdo will pit first.
Might be even Plebs, being the last in that queue, of course. With Joseph having DRS as well, it's very hard for Plebs to make an overtake. So maybe it's the best strategy for him to go for the undercut, try and get track position, and then go and have a go at Weirdo himself. Because as it is right now, it's just a DRS train, and Plebs doesn't have any opportunity to get past Joseph unless Joseph tries to make a move on Weirdo. But I think Joseph is pretty happy sitting where he is right now, as they're running really close. As we have Ned Hammer in for the first regular pit stop on the end of lap 6. Let's see, he does make a switch, he does take a new front wing as well, so he might have picked up some damage. That's maybe also the reason why BP and Diano got past him a couple of laps ago. But he switches to the mediums, down to P11. So let's see if he can make up some ground on BP and Diano.
A bit of a slip by Weirdo.
I just caught it.
Touching the wall.
And Plebs.
Joseph Elias overtook him.
And Plebs now down the inside as well. So Weirdo making a mistake, and that's cost him dearly, as Plebs now all over the back of Weirdo as well. And they're going to go side by side into the last chicane. Weirdo thinks about the long term, brakes early.
A bit of slip for Joseph Elias as well. So right now they're struggling on these tires, the pit stop is open. Who will pit first?
Oh.
Definitely now Joseph Elias is in a big chance to pit first, because he's struggling on those tires and he's slipping from an end to an end, and he doesn't want to lose his control or touch the wall and end up driving in this race.
Yeah, driver's really starting to struggle, as of course Weirdo making that mistake, starting this whole sequence of action. Now down to P3, being overtaken by both Plebs and Joseph in the span of half a lap. Plebs still within 7/10 of Joseph, so he managed to stick with the 1 second DRS gap. So we're approaching first pit stop phase, as Carson now also into the pits, as he rejoins side by side with Ashley actually. And Williams driver comes out just ahead of the Ferrari. So let's see if any of the top 3 drivers decide to dive into the pits, and they all continue on for one more lap. Already 9 seconds between our top 3 and BP in P4. So as I said before, these 3 drivers really battling it out at the front, as Toddy makes a move on RL9 for P7. Toddy making some quiet progress in this race. Of course, started outside of the top 10, now into P7 on the medium tires, not looking too bad, only a couple of seconds behind his teammate Diano. So yeah, the McLarens once again.
So, right now he's almost ahead of the driver. Ahead of him.
Weirdo's really struggling, he's out of DRS at the moment. 1.2 seconds behind Plebs. Plebs really been pushing, and Weirdo won't have DRS on this back straight, so I think we'll see Weirdo in at the end of this lap. as he'll be losing more and more time without the DRS. As Plebs also dives into the pits and Weirdo follows him in. Both get it slowed down so they don't pick up a penalty. Plebs will switch to a set of medium tires.
Hard.
And Weirdo goes into the hards. Interesting strategy choice there. So that suggests Weirdo will try to go to the end on those hard tires as they rejoin in a bit of traffic. Plebs.
He might be in a chance, but we are on the 10. He might be on a chance to also finish the race on those medium tires. If there's a safety car, there will be a chance.
So
he ends up diving on Miles,
and
doing a very great job.
Toddy follows him immediately through. So let's keep an eye on Joseph, who will probably respond on this lap, seeing his two rivals make a pit stop. And he does dive into the pits, gets it slowed down as well, so no time penalties. Surprised to see, positively surprised to see this little penalties, time penalties at this point in the race. Only Miles and Brady, both Mercedes drivers, have picked up 1 3-second time penalty. And all the other drivers still without any time penalties. Plebs makes a move down the inside of Diano. Where is Joseph? He's behind. So Plebs into the lead of the race. Yeah, immediately coming out of the pits, dives down the inside of Diano, so he gets into P2 as Diano gets a bit wayward on the exit as Weirdo follows him immediately through. So top 3 back where they were before the pit stops, but in a slightly different order as they were before, with Plebs now almost 2 seconds in front of Joseph. So that undercut from Plebs really worked out beautifully. And of course Weirdo on those hards, he will go to the end for sure. And it will be interesting to see if Weirdo is able to stick with Joseph on slightly slower tires, of course.
What a result by the McLaren team right now. Definitely they need to pit.
Yeah, as Diano does.
Diano does. But it's a little bit early for Diano to pit.
I think.
Again on
he had some front wing damage.
Oh,
and
front wing damage.
As BP puts in the fastest lap of the race actually on the mediums.
Hard tire. Oh,
no, another set of mediums. So that means he's on a 2-step. So Diano switching.
What I was telling you before is that if Plebs manages to stay with those tires, it doesn't need to do another lap. It depends how much wear he's gonna use on those tires. It depends how much fuel mix he will put. If he puts a lot of rich in these last couple of laps, there's around 22 laps remaining. But Joseph Eli is also on a one stop strategy for now, as we see that he's on the medium tires and he pitted 1 lap after. So that might be a bit of a struggle for Plebs if he doesn't pit. So Joseph Eli will have a little bit more better tires, but we need to see if Weirdo can manage to keep the same pace, as already he's falling down the grid and he's in 3rd position, 1 second away from Joseph Eli, or even more than 1 second, 1.6 seconds.
2.7 actually. The gap is rapidly increasing as he doesn't have the same amount of grip as the 2 cars in front.
He's struggling a lot.
And I think
those are the hard tires and they're slower.
To warm up, but I think both Plebs and Joseph will make a second pit stop. Don't think those mediums will last to the end, and with the gap they had before, I think there's room to make that extra pit stop and hunt down Weirdo on pressure tires. As you have yellow flag in sector 1, I think that's for one of the Renaults. Yeah, Taufik spun on the pit exit actually. he didn't come out of the pits, but he spun at the entry of turn 2. And not the best of races for him as well. Starting P9 now down to P12. As he's really struggling for tire and grip.
Nick, I don't know if you realized, but Tony Robles didn't pit yet. I don't know if he's going to pit maybe until lap 18, and he will go for a set of hearts, or else he will go for a 2-stop. It depends.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying something different from Deano.
Might be a very good good shout by the McLaren boys, of course. Splitting the strategies will give you the largest amount of chance of at least one car scoring some good points. So yeah, Toddy is still the only man to make a pit stop in this race. As you said, 13 laps, almost 14 now on these mediums. So if he's trying to make a one-stop work, he'll probably be in the next couple of laps to switch into the hard tires, but might be on a 2-stop, but like reverse to everyone who started on the softs. So maybe he'll go to 2 sets of soft tires when he makes his first pit stop.
Also reaching Tony Robles, and he already pitted. If we check the situation of the pattern, very tricky situation, as you have the second and third place, they both have 3 seconds, and Plebs is already away 1.5 seconds, so he's around 5 seconds of lead right now. And then we have BP who have 3 seconds, also 2 seconds. Then there is Miles, which comes 5 seconds for Ash, beaten in the pit lane in the first lap. And there's Riley 98, which has around 8 seconds, 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
That's 6 seconds, 6 seconds. I'm using my contact, so best vision. But yeah, as we reach lap 15 in Canada, we're seeing a lot of different strategies, and we're seeing these drivers trying to compete against each other. As that hammer, he hammered another 3 seconds.
Nice play of words there. As BP makes a move on Toddy. BP trying to catch up on his teammate actually. Weirdo 7 seconds already behind the leading duo of Plebs and Joseph, really falling off the pace. Don't know if he made a mistake or if it's just the hard tires not working on this car, but he's really struggling.
Toddy pits.
So let's see what the McLaren driver will do. Does he go into hards?
Soft.
No, softs. So as I said, he'll go for 2 sets of softs towards the end of the race. He will join behind this huge pack of traffic led by Ned Hammer, with Carson and RL9 really close, and Diano just behind them. And Toddy rejoins just behind Miles, but he is on fresh softs and without any time penalties, so he'll be a man to keep an eye out on. But we know for sure that Toddy will have to make another pit stop, because he won't be able to make those soft tires last 20 laps.
Joseph Lai is not using a lot of DRS. He's really relaxed about the situation right now. Not pushing that much. But also knowing that both Plebs and Joseph Lai are the same Suchi, I think it's going to be until the next pit stop until any challenge between these two drivers. Right now, the current situation is that both of the drivers, Joseph Lai have 6 laps on the medium tires, Plebs have 7 laps on them. So Joseph Lai knows that he has a 1 lap fresher tire than Plebs, but he have a 3 second lap penalty. So maybe now it's time to try to push, because the 3 second lap penalty is going to make a little bit of an underdog over here against Plebs. But Plebs, what a race! I think it's the last time that I've seen him racing like this was around 3 races ago or 4 races ago. The last time I joined as a co-commentator. But this is going to be a good one for Plebs, trying to win this race and also gain a little bit of points in the championship.
Yeah, of course, Plebs having not the best of run in the last 2 races. finishing P6 in Belgium and not making the checkered flag in Italy. So yeah, he's fallen a bit behind in the championship fight, but 25 points today will certainly put him back into the picture for that title. As you said, that 3-second time penalty from Joseph will really hurt him in this fight for the lead, as both Plebs and Joseph now around the same amount of ERS, both approximately 50-60%, as BP is slowly gaining on his teammate as well, now just 1.1 seconds, and Weirdo really losing a lot of time, and it looks like those hards are not working, and this one stop might be the very wrong strategy to be on, because as I yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say great pace from the Rumble as he manages to get the fastest laps so far, and also catches his teammate. He was around 4 seconds down from his teammate, and he's already at tail of his teammate. And Deiano makes a very good move on Lou. The McLaren are coming back strong in this race. Definitely they need to put again, but I think Tony Rumble is going to have a great race if he manages those tires well, because
double luck up for the McLaren driver, nearly smashes into the back of the Alfa Romeo, and that does compromise his run.
Yeah, he hits him but he don't have any damage, but definitely he lost a little bit of time as well from the car ahead, because he had the DRS advantage. So we will see what will happen now, as the situation for the midfield, let's call them midfield between them, they're really doing well against each other, and their top three, let's say that we have the top third and fourth. So the Haas drivers are just competing between them, and we have Joseph Lai and Plebs which are competing between them for now, because they might have to.
Yeah, and this midfield fight is really heating up at the moment, as we have an incredibly long train all the way from P5 down to P9. With Nat Hammer leading this pack of midfield drivers. Nat Hammer and Carson on by far the most oldest tires. Nat Hammer 12 level mediums, Carson just on 1 lap younger tires, with Diano his tires being 4 to 5 laps fresher. As BP is the first to make a second pit stop, as we have a yellow flag in sector 1, and I think that's for Taufik. I think that was for Taufik. So BP makes, I think, his last stop onto a set of soft tires, and I think he'll be out ahead of this fighting pack led by Nat Hammer. And Carson dives down the inside. We switch to him at the perfect moment, as the Williams driver makes a decisive move on the racing point. Nat Hammer now under pressure from Diano as well, starting to struggle.
Look at Lou and Todd Rumble. There's there. One will try to dive, definitely, but also right now Todd Rumble goes first, so he's running a lot because not managing the temperature as well, as Lou is braking a little bit earlier than expected. So Todd Rumble right now he needs to keep in mind not hitting the back of Lou.
As Nat Hammer runs wide, sorry to interrupt you, but Nat Hammer ran a bit wide at the hairpin, and that gives Diano the perfect opportunity, as Nat Hammer does not have any DRS on Carson anymore. And Diano just sitting behind on this straight, focusing on the exit out of the last chicane, and now using ERS. No, just sticking behind for now, as Toddy and RL9 are side by side, and Toddy actually went onto the grass a bit, squeezed out by RL9. Oh, who, RL9 or Toddy?
No, Toddy, he ended up overtaking DRS, and then Toddy Rumble, he hit the wall, so he was a little bit slower.
Now RL9 back in front of the McLaren.
Left, right, trying to get the best of
And Toddy is the latest car to pick up a 3-second time penalty. So now nearly everyone except the man in P1 and the man in P14 without any penalties so far. As we are on lap 22 right now, as Toddy is making a move once again on RL9, locks up, and RL9 switchbacks the McLaren beautifully actually. Yeah, exact copycat move, but now Toddy is able to keep it round the outside of turn 1. Now as the inside. Toddy makes the move stick this time, and now Miles gets down the inside. RL9 onto the grass. As that corner is really tricky to go side by side through. As Ashley is serving his 5-second time penalty, making a second pit stop in this race. So once again, well, Joseph does now, so I think in about 1 lap time Joseph making his last stop and going on to another set of medium tires. Interesting. So not taking any risks, just playing it safe and switching to another set of medium tires. Will be interesting to see. Yeah, as he rejoins just behind Weirdo, who is still on those hard tires from the first round of pit stops. As Ned Hammer picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Joseph picks up another 3-second time penalty now. So that's 6 seconds. With Plevs just trying to make sure he doesn't get undercut. Oh, a bit wayward on the exit of the hairpin. So let's follow.
Following Plevs as well.
Yeah. I think he does. I think he will. No, he doesn't. He continues on, so I think Plevs is trying to stretch his medium tires to switch to a set of softs for the last stint.
But he's losing around 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, as Joseph gets the advantage of DRS on Weirdo. And Joseph back up into P2. Let's see if Weirdo can re-challenge into turn 1. I don't think so, as Joseph has the superior tire grip on those fresh mediums. I didn't catch what this lap time was, but we now have a good vision of the gap between these two drivers. Left 17.2 seconds ahead of Joseph, as the pit delta I think is around 17-18 seconds, so we'll be very close. But Plevs, of course, I think so, yeah. So we'll be very close, as Joseph is really gaining on Plevs at the moment.
So another driver now.
Yeah, good spot. As both McLarens running.
Last game that we don't have any floor damage or any rear damage, so they need to be aware that from next game, Formula 1 to 21, if they use a lot of curbs, they will end up with the floor damage. So that's something that these drivers need to work on, as a lot of drivers take some advantages on those curbs, but they don't see any damage so far. But on the next game they will see. So let's see what will happen next season. Definitely going to be for all the drivers, as we are now less, I think, than a month for the release of the game, as it's released around mid-July.
Yeah, 16th of July, so just over 1 month to go. We're approaching the end of this game. But right now the focus is on the last 10 laps of this Canadian Grand Prix, as Toddy has just moved past his teammate for P5 in this race. As Plevs is in for his final stop. Yeah, as we said, switching it up compared to Joseph, who will probably just about get in front of Plevs, but Plevs with the fresher tires and the advantage that he doesn't have any time penalties. I think Plebs is in a really good position here, as Joseph does take the lead of the race. And he is quite some time ahead. About 2 seconds. But Plebs, even if he just stays where he is right now, he will win the race comfortably. So yeah, I think Plebs has absolutely mastered the strategy around the streets here, as Weirdo is in P3 trying to nurse those hard tires to the end, as his teammate BP is really catching him right now. Of course, BP caught him up on his mediums and then made a second pit stop onto softs, and now BP is also already only 2.7 seconds behind his teammate once again. So yeah, the one stop for Weirdo, I don't think that was the best strategy to go for, as our pole sitter won't be finishing anything higher than P3, unless of course.
A lot on those tires, definitely. The best that he could do.
Ooh, and he hits the wall of champions actually. And yeah, there is some damage. There is some damage to the right hand side of his front wing.
So there's a good chance that BP will catch him.
Yeah.
He's around 7.6 seconds away now.
BP is only 1.8 seconds behind his teammate at the moment, and that gap will slowly decrease even further with that damage Weirdo just picked up. As Toddy also makes his final stop onto another set of soft tires, as we mentioned. And he will probably rejoin about P7 or P8, as his teammate did box the lap before.
It's a battle of fast drivers right now.
Oh, and it's very nicely executed actually.
They hit a little bit of each other as well, but BP managed to take the position, as Weirdo is at a little bit of damage as well. I think there's a DRS for Weirdo.
Ooh.
No DRS for Weirdo.
Almost pushing BP through.
DRS.
And BP is into the pits.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Oh, because he's 7 laps on those tires.
Yeah.
He will not manage to finish on those tires. So right now it's a situation where BP on those new soft tires will try to catch. Also, Weirdo and Carson is a little bit away from the other drivers. So BP and Weirdo, they need to figure out what's going to happen now, because there's 7 laps remaining.
Yeah.
But Weirdo will lose a lot of time with the damage. If I'm not mistaken, penalty situation right now is that okay, so the penalties is BP have 14 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, once again.
And Weirdo has 6 seconds, so there's not a lot of chance BP will overtake. We're seeing right now Plebs is around 4 tenths away from Joseph Eli as he reached 29 laps in Canada. The situation right now is that Plebs doesn't have any penalties not to worry about, but Joseph Eli have 6 seconds of time penalty. Let's see what will happen, as this is the United Racing URL, the ACAP. It stands for Asian Pacific Racing, yeah?
Yeah, as Weirdo. Yeah, Bearpoint just retired the last lap in the pits, I think. As Weirdo has made a second stop as well, ditching those hard tires and moving on to a brand new set of soft tires for the last 6 laps. And he will try to hunt down Carson. And that leaves BP in a net P3 as Plebs makes the move for the lead on track. Does have a lapped car of Ashley in front of him, but Plebs asserting his authority here by overtaking Joseph. As there's a yellow flag in sector 1. Don't know what that's for. Might have been, yeah, I think that was for actually just getting out of the way of the leaders. So yeah, just going back on those penalties you just talked about, Joseph, 6 seconds, but he has a 26-second gap behind him, so no threat of him losing any more positions. With BP, 14 seconds of penalties, but he is 12 seconds ahead of Carson, so it looks like BP might be on for a podium finish. And if I'm not mistaken, no, he did finish on the podium in Azerbaijan in the second race of the season, where he took P2 behind race winner Plebs then. Yeah, I just saw it as well. Yeah, BP now, despite his 14 seconds of penalties,
and
he
Plebs overtakes Joseph Alai as well.
Yeah. So Carson on 3 seconds, probably won't move anything up, but won't lose any positions as well. So P4 once again, solid drive from him. Yeah, gap is 13 seconds and the time penalty gap is 11 seconds. So at the moment BP would still finish in P3. So
if BP takes another 3-second time penalty,
yeah,
that would be another situation.
That will change the situation.
This is the first time Carson will take a podium now.
Carson hasn't finished on the podium this season. Finished 4th in France, but that's his best finish of the season so far. So yeah, he's been close a few times, but once again not quite on the podium. As Ned Hammer in P6 also has 14 seconds worth of time penalties. So at the moment he would lose position to both McLarens, who are running nose to tail in P7 and P8. Diano ahead of Toddy, with Diano 9 seconds, Toddy 6 seconds of penalties. And Miles behind them in P9 with 12 seconds. RL9 in P10 has 9 seconds worth of penalties. And so yeah, Plebs the only driver on the grid right now who did not pick up any time penalty. An absolutely fantastic race from him, and he just has a couple of more laps to go to pick up his second win of the season, as Weirdo makes an on-track move on Carson, and he will have to try and pull out a 6-second gap on Carson in the next 4 laps to try and actually steal that P4 away from Carson. Yeah, our pole sitter, a bit of a questionable strategy, and that has left him outside of the podium positions at the moment, as he picks up another 3-second time penalty actually, now up to 12. So yeah, not the best of days for Weirdo, who will see Joseph extend his lead over him in the championship. And yeah, as we start lap 33, just 3 more laps to go.
The weather is really turning out to be grey now, and maybe there's a little bit of chance of rain in the last lap, and they lose a little bit of grip, so they need to be aware not to end up wall in the last 2 corners. But for Plebs, he have fresh tires.
Oh, and Ned Hammer, sorry to interrupt you, but Ned Hammer completely lost the back end coming out of the hairpin in sector 3, as Joseph picks up another 3-second time penalty, and Toddy moves past the racing point into P6, and Diano will try to follow his teammate through now into turn 1, side by side, and he is ahead. Both McLarens working together really well, now up into P6 and P7.
Why is Joseph taking this close too much penalties? I mean, he have already 6 seconds, now he has 9 seconds. Maybe he's trying to win it on track, but definitely he knows that he's not going to win it on the other side. But Joseph Alai is a guy who tries to take the win on the track.
Yeah, won't matter.
Let's not see any contact between them.
Yeah, let's hope Plebs will, as BP makes another pit stop.
5 seconds.
Very strange choice, I'd say. I don't know why.
He's trying to take the fastest lap.
Yeah, but he'll lose position to his teammate.
Yeah.
And he has a 5-second time penalty to serve. And while serving it, he picked up another 5-second time penalty. So he basically gave the...
Will be on the podium.
Yeah. He gave the podium from Haas away. For nothing. As there's way too little time to now repass and extend the gap to Carson. Really a strange choice from BP, who of course had a 5-second time penalty from the last time he made the pit stop, and now trying to go for the fastest lap, boxing and picking up another 5-second time penalty. So really strange strategy decisions from the Haas garage, as Joseph does make a pass for the lead on the track on the last lap. Yeah, but Plebs...
contact between Plebs and Live, but right now on Plebs I would just relax, drive, just relax. I mean, there's a 9 seconds of penalty. The driver can't if we don't turn around, spin like Mazepin.
Yeah, I don't think Plebs will mind one bit that he won't win the race on track, because he's been by far the most consistent driver today, perfected the strategy, perfected the conditions, and he will just have one more sector to go before he will pick up his second win of the season. One with a strategic masterclass in Azerbaijan in the second race of the season by going very long on the hard tires and then making a switch to the softs at the end. And he showed today once again he masters the strategy, as he will finish P2 on track, but he will cross the line winning the Canadian Grand Prix. Plebs is your race winner. Joseph finishes in P2. As there's a yellow flag. Carson, no! Carson spins round! No! Carson has been spun round. I think BP tried to overtake him, and now Carson has lost his front wing and the podium. Oh no.
Is it a tactic by Haas?
Oh, I surely hope not. That's once again Carson loses a podium. That's heartbreaking. And it will be actually Weirdo who takes P3.
Right now, Weirdo takes P3, but...
Yeah, he will stay P3 because the gap to Toddy is way too big. Toddy will actually finish P5. Carson P6, Diano P7, Hammer P8. What a shame for Carson. This must hurt incredibly. So close to a podium, but only managing P6. Weirdo, despite an awful strategy, finishes P3 behind Joseph Lai, and your race winner, Plebs.
Well done to all the drivers. We've seen a very good race from... I think it's divided. We had some midfield, we had the third and fourth position, we had also the first and second position. That was the best battle. But the more penalties Justify was getting, the more Plebs was putting the legs on the car. And well done to Plebs for dominating this race. Definitely didn't dominate qualifying, because it was Weirdo who dominates qualifying. I think Weirdo is again not that let's say disappointed, because he still managed to get the podium. So well done to all the drivers, and we are really looking forward for the next race. How many races left now?
I think it's only 3 more races to go, as next week will be around the classic Suzuka in Japan, and then the week after will be Mexico, and then on the 3rd of July it will be the season finale at Brazil. So these are your final race results. Plebs wins in front of Joseph Lai, with Weirdo, despite having an quite interesting strategy, finishing P3 ahead of his team at BP in P4. Toddy finishes P5, consistent race from him. Carson with that last lap crash down to P6 ahead of Diano, Hammer, Miles and RL9 point scorers, with Ashley, Taufik, Brady and Bear 2.0 not finishing in the points and making up the rest of the grid. So yeah, that was it for round 9. And I hope to see you all next week.
See you, bye bye.